Welcome, Jenny. Now, you're performing
you.
A very interesting programme for us on Friday of 6 works, which you've titled for us Light and Shadow. And you said that's inspired by Roxana Panufnik's piece, Glow. Would you like to tell us how everything fits into that programme?
Yes, I'd love to. So I started with the piece Glow. I came to Roxana Panufnik's work through her choral pieces. And I just think she's such a fabulous composer, and so I was investigating whether she'd written anything for piano, and she had this lovely piece called Glow, and I immediately thought that that would pair nicely with the Messiaen that I had already played a little bit. That's because it's called Première Communion de la Vierge, and it's from the Vanregard, the 20 images of the infant Jesus. And this particular movement, Messiaen writes this introduction. It's quite programmatic in a way, so it's representing a scene that Messiaen had in mind, and it's a night scene of Mary kneeling with a luminous halo, and it's her communion with the baby inside her. So it's representing this image, and there are certain things that Messiaen puts in that are directly representative, and I'll just alert you to one of them. So there's one point where there's some very low Fs, repeated Fs, and those are the heartbeats of baby Jesus.
Oh, right.
So that was one element that I just wanted to kind of point out that I hope people will pick up on. So I thought, oh, those two images go quite nicely together. And then from there, I started to think, what else could I fit in with these two pieces? So I thought, what other works have that kind of juxtaposition of darkness and light? So the Nocturne is obviously, a Nocturne is a piece written for the evening. And even within that Nocturne, actually, there's darkness and light. So there's the kind of quite sunshiny outer sections, and then in the middle, there's this agitato, which is quite stormy. That's the Nocturne. There's the Poulenc, which is called Melancholy. So maybe that's more of a darkness, a shadow in terms of mood or spirit, a spiritual darkness. But having said that, it's not, I don't think it's a miserable work. I think there's a little bit of humour in there and a bit of kind of perhaps indulgence of the feeling of melancholy. So even within that piece as well, there's maybe some darkness and some light. What else am I playing? There's Coleridge Taylor.
Yes.
So there's the two movements. I think I've said I'll play one, but the second is so lovely, I think I might do that one as well, if it's not too late to make that adjustment. Because I was playing it to a friend the other day, and I went on and I played the second, and this friend said, oh, that's really lovely. So I think I might include the two. So they're waltz, good, I hope so. That's a series of waltzes. So the waltz form, obviously, was originally developed to accompany dancing. And so maybe there's kind of lightness inherent in the form, but then with his writing, there's some sort of depth there and a little bit of perhaps melancholy in the writing as well. So, and then finally Bach, which a lot of those kind of major key fugues, especially the sharp key fugues.
Yes, you're doing the
C-sharp major, which is just so bright and kind of lively. So I just thought that would be a lovely opener.
Yeah. Fantastic. Great. I've got movement. Oh, you said movement 1 and 2 in your...
Oh, did I? Of the Coleridge Taylor. Oh, that's good. That's great. Yeah, well, they're both really, really lovely, I think. And I think part of my decision, I wanted to programme... I wanted to be a little bit diverse in the programming and make sure, you know, that there was, I mean, I wanted to include a female composer, and I just think, as I said, I think she's a wonderful composer, first-rate composer. And Coleridge Taylor is an interesting character. He was, his father was descended from a freed African-American slave, so he's got that kind of interesting background as well. And I thought, you know, it's important to be diverse in programming now, and especially, you know, as this is a university concert, you know, because I think it's very important for students to see, you know, that the canon we present is diverse and it represents all sorts of people. There was a talk advertised on the website, on the university website, called Decolonising the Curriculum, and that was a phrase I had heard through some training I did for another institution, and I just thought, well, the whole tone over the summer. With the Black Lives Matter. The whole tone of it was we all have a responsibility, don't we? And I thought, well, I certainly have a responsibility because I see a lot of young people in the week and they're this generation, you know, they're very switched on politically, and I have to try and do my bit to make sure that, you know, that they're exposed to all sorts of different voices, you know, and it's not just one voice that they're hearing. And also, that it's good quality, really good quality music, and that it's not tokenistic.
Yes,
because that's
absolutely.
the danger, is that we do kind of music that's a bit dull because for a worthy cause. But this music, I think, that I'm playing is very exciting and very worth performing, and hopefully people enjoy it.
Great. So, Jenny, how long have you been teaching here in the School of Music, and what else do you do besides that?
It's the last 3 years that I've had a crop of undergraduate piano students, and it's been really enjoyable. I've got some very talented students here, and it's a part of my work that I do really enjoy, and it challenges me as well, you know, to teach them, because they work at a very high level. Part of the reason behind this programme, I thought it will be the most relevant to my students, because it's a programme of miniatures, and what they end up doing at the end of the year is, you know, a programme that usually features two or three small works. And I think that, you know, that has its challenges, because you're jumping between different styles. Yeah. So I thought, I hope that, you know, some past students or some future students might watch this as, you know, it's an example of that.
Right, because it's sort of a half-hour programme instead of a sort of full hour-long recital. So
yeah, exactly. And it's that thing of kind of reprogramming your brain each time and thinking, what's the colour here? You know, this is jumping from Bach to Chopin to Poulenc, and each time thinking, what's the statement that I want to make? And I think, you know, the students can, and well, they should, get very obsessed with the marking criteria and what they need to do. But there is an element of performance as well, and it's, you know, we shouldn't forget that, and especially now that they're having to make recordings, it's easy to lose sight of the performance element and think, you know, that it's all about, you know, fulfilling certain criteria. Yeah. But the idea of just making a statement and making 3 different statements, or in this case, 6. So that's my work here. Most of my career is freelance. I had a job with Opera North for 3 years, which was lovely, and that's where we first met. Yeah. And that was as an accompanist, a répétiteur, which is a rehearsal pianist for opera companies, and that was in their education department, and that was very enjoyable. And I got to work with the chorus and the orchestra and a wonderful team of people. And since then, I've been back to freelance life, and I work. I still go back and do things for Opera North, which is lovely. I work for a few different opera companies, local opera companies. I do a lot of accompanying, some chamber music. I've just started with a group called Avenue Ensemble, which is brand new. What else do I do? A lot of teaching as well. I work for Leeds Conservatoire as a pianist and a teacher as well. And then I end up sometimes going down some strange routes, like I do a little bit of choir directing. Sometimes I've branched out a little bit and done early years classes and things like that. And I like to think that's not because of a scarcity of performance work, but I think variety is the spice of life, isn't it? Yeah. And I think as a performer, if you're seeing lots of different walks of life and you're hearing people's stories and you're meeting a lot of people, you know, you've got more to express then, perhaps. Yeah.
I was going to say, how do you find kind of balancing all of your, you know, you've got lots of different hats there. You're doing teaching work, accompanying, repetiteuring, and also obviously trying to keep up sort of your practice as a performing musician.
Yeah,
do you find it difficult to switch between
sometimes, them? Sometimes. It is hard. And in terms of the playing, there are so many different things that are required from you from day to day. I mean, with a repetiteur job, you're trying to sometimes reduce a full orchestra score, or you're trying to play an orchestral reduction which wasn't written for the piano, so you're trying to decide kind of what to play to make it work. And then to go between that and choral rehearsing, which is different again, and you're trying to kind of, you know, help the choir out. And, you know, I mean, there are quite a lot of different skills involved in the job day to day. And then solo piano is just so different from any of them, because you're just trying to really be precise and polished and kind of, really kind of a depth of approach with the interpretation as well. So it is tricky, but I do love it, and I hope as well that, you know, taking it back to the teaching, that the students will see. I mean, my greatest hope would be that they would see that you can continue to play going on as you know, whether or not you make a living as a full-time musician, it's very hard to fit it in, that kind of solo practice, but you can do it if you're motivated and you know, and you make the time to do it.
Yeah. Well, that's great. Thank you very much,
Chris.
Jenny, and we look forward to your concert on Friday.
Thank you.